What's going on, everybody? My name's McCoy, and I'm a real estate lender that has closed about 600 mortgages in different states across the country. I've been delaying getting this video to you out of, I don't want to call it technical issues, but just writing a script, and this thing ended up being about 17 or something pages long. It's absolutely insane. Scripting and reading off the teleprompter just honestly kind of slowed me down. And I'm a big YouTuber, or YouTube watcher, I should say. And some of my favorite YouTube people, they're not reading off these scripts. They're simply freestyling. Why? Because they want to get the content to you as quickly as possible. And that, honestly, I want that to be my style as well. Reading off the script, I feel like, I don't want to say censors me, but slows me down on getting the information to you. And also kind of censors me. I'm a lot more polished when I write it like this and I just edit, delete, versus just freestyling, off the top of my head to you guys. So that's really the goal here. That's really my goal moving forward, is to get content to you as quickly as I get it. I'm surprised I've been able to sit on this information for like over a week now and not one person in the entire industry, I watch everybody's content, post about this. Why? Because they just don't know. They do not know what is in this thing. Why? Because they don't know it exists. I do. I know it exists. And here's actually how I found it. So in doing my previous YouTube, you can find on my page, about CalHFA, it took me a lot of research to put that together. Even though I use the program daily, I still wanted to research everything and make sure everything was 100% factual before I posted it out there. Why? Because I just don't want to be labeled fake news. That is not my intention whatsoever. I want to give information to the people that is validated, sourced, factual, and an unbiased opinion. Will I have points during this YouTube channel that are opinion? Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to not have. I've been doing this for 10 years, so it's hard not to get some insight from past experiences when you find out things like this. It's very, very difficult to be impartial when you've talked to tens of thousands of people that need a loan, and you've gained I don't want to say gained a callus to it, but all those experiences mean something. And it's hard to just be like, oh, I didn't see that not work in the past. Oh, this isn't going to, remember Aunt Sally, they didn't work for her, or it worked for her, or whatever the case may be. So all those things, you kind of develop an opinion based on just repetition, man. It's crazy. That's really my goal here, is to just keep it raw. If you follow me on my Instagram stories, you can kind of tell I don't really have a great filter when it comes to speaking my mind. Guys, I'm surprised I haven't been tapped on the shoulder for speaking my mind. CalHFA recently posted an update on their Instagram page about the Dream program, and I kind of ripped into them. I'm surprised they haven't shot me a message saying, hey, Art, guess what? You're banned from the program. If that day happens, for me speaking my mind and trying to get money to the people faster, I hate to say it, but so be it. I have so many experiences and pain. I feel people's pain. I feel home buyers' pain. When I talk about a payment that is out of their comfort, like their comfortability, and their just plain out affordability, a part of it it's a chip on my shoulder, man. So when I see opportunities like the Dream program to get funds to the consumer so they can have a lower payment, dude, I want that yesterday. So that's when I'm lighting up CalHFA online, or I'm lighting up CalHFA on a video, that's where I'm coming from, is we need these programs yesterday, not in fall. Fall is, yes, it may be 2-3 months out, but we needed that money yesterday for the people. So yeah, if I'm wrong for that, guess what? Nail me to the cross. So be it. Anyway, so I will post my entire script here down in the links below if you want to read it. I'm going to try to, there's a lot of good points in this thing for sure. But at the same time, there's a little bit about me. So if you want to get to know about me personally some more, maybe give the script a read and you'll get to know where I'm coming from. I'm trying to eliminate that some here, but I'm doing the best I can. Let's stick to the facts anyway. So talked about that one. I talked about this too. The biggest thing is, all right, so why are we here today? We are here to talk about CalHFA's strategic plan for fiscal years 2023 to 2024. Here's a copy of it, and it is posted on their website. I found this based on, like I said, doing research for another video. And I went to that website one day and this was not there. Then the next day I went there to find a link to send it to a buddy of mine so he can read where I was getting my information from. And sure enough, this report was there. There's been no official announcement of them posting this report. And I kind of think it's one of those reports that government entities just have to disclose to the public, kind of like what they're doing, and just kind of check that box that they told you what they're doing. So that's where I think a lot of this is coming from. So that's the cover page. The second page is a letter from the executive director. Her name is Tina Johnson Hall, and the letter's pretty sincere. It talks a lot about just her outlook and vision with CalHFA, what she plans on doing, and where she's going to take this thing. She's appointed by the governor to make things happen, and that's what she's trying to do. This is her blueprint for what CalHFA is going to look like moving forward. On my script, I talk about how I'm in the trenches, man. Like, I'm actually doing mortgages daily. I feel like a lot of people that are just these government entities, I don't want to say these government entities, but a lot of the decision makers in these government entities, they're not in the trenches. They are just taking in data from lenders like my organization and others, and they're making decisions based on the data that they collect. So one thing I said in my script is when you're asked things like what's your race, ethnicity, and gender, those are all things that government entities like this implement policy and how funds are spent based on that data that's collected. So one thing I said in my script is just be truthful, and if you just do not wish to provide that information, you're kind of doing your tax dollars a disservice because you're not going to get represented. So try to disclose that. Also in my script, I talked about how do I say this? The words that she used in that initial letter, she used words like goal and objective and strategy. Just goals. A lot of people have goals. My goal at one point was to dunk a basketball. Did that ever happen? No, it never happened. So I really hope that the director is not putting goals out there like dunking a basketball. It's just never going to happen. So, words mean things, right? So I'm just trying to I really hope that if her goal is to impact and make these certain things that would change the industry, I really hope she comes full circle with it. So anyway, goal number 1, that's actually the title of this page. Goal number 1, lending impacts. Focus lending activities on broadening access to affordable housing for CalHFA's diverse population. Objective number 1, maintain and expand culturally competent outreach to Californians, ensuring broad access across race, gender, ethnicity, geographic, and affordability demographics. So we kind of just spoke about that, right? Want to make sure everybody's represented. So that goes into talking about how she wants to do that. But yeah, I kind of already talked about that. So I'm going to throw this one to the side. All right. Objective number 2, expand single family opportunities. Now this one, when I read it, my mind instantly went to how can this be implemented? Like, how is this going to change the way things are today, right? And a lot of light bulbs went on, and I instantly was like, yo, this is huge, right? So, all right. So it says fiscal year 2023 to 2024 initiatives. Now, fiscal year, the fiscal year for CalHFA started in July 1. July 1 was the fiscal year start, and it rolls till July of 2024. So this isn't something that started back on the first of the year, January. This is something that just started now. And that's really going back to reading this and here, like seeing hints that she's trying to give us. That's a big one, because why? A lot of these policy changes that I'm going to talk about here in a second, they're not happening in some far out land. These are things that they're trying to implement in the next 12 or 11 to 12 months, right? So pretty huge. Number one, research and implement 2-unit owner occupied property eligibility for all programs. That's epic. That is not something that CalHFA does now. So as of today, CalHFA cannot be used for a 2-unit property. 2-unit properties are basically things like a duplex. But if you read the definition of what a 2-unit is, it really comes down to the deed. The deed is ownership of real estate. So you can have a property that, for example, a duplex. One person might own one side of that duplex and another person might own the other side. I know because my buddy owns duplexes, right? So with that would not be it would be a duplex, but it's all about ownership and that deed. If that deed goes to the entire structure, therefore ownership is both units, that would be a 2-unit. That would be something that qualifies here. You got to live in 1 unit. Owner occupied means you live in it, right? So you can live in 1 unit of this thing and rent out the other side. That is huge. That is income. I hate the word passive income because being a real estate owner and investor is not passive income. You're going to have to fix toilets. You're going to have to make sure you have a habitable environment and it meets certain check boxes so you don't get sued, right? So, man, it's not passive, but it's ownership of a piece of real estate that can bring income to you or pay your loan down faster, thus building wealth, So that is major. In the next 12 months, it is their objective to implement this, with their programs. So for example, today, have a home buyer with the My Home program. My Home is a down payment assistance program that allows homeowners to buy a home with their down payment assistance covered, or, it's a loan. So they're borrowing funds for their down payment. That's huge. You'd be able to use the My Home program on a 2-unit once they implement this. And here's where it gets a little crazy, right? So there's other programs out there. The most controversial and talked about one right now is the Dream program. The Dream program is one of CalHFA's programs. So if they're saying here that the eligibility for this 2-unit would be for all programs, that implies that Dream would be eligible on all programs. Will they launch these things at the same time? I can't tell you that. And I have no idea. Is that one of the policy changes that they're talking about? Or the, not policy changes, how did they word it? They basically said that they're going to make some changes on the Dream program compared to how the last Dream program was. And this could be one of those changes that they're talking about. So could be really, really epic if these things are timed out correctly or timed out at the same time. And you're able to snag a 2-unit with more than the standard amount of down payment assistance towards your down payment. All right, so number 2, evaluate opportunities to increase first mortgage lending by completing studies to identify total addressable market and competitiveness of CalHFA's program terms compared to competitors in each market segment. So I think this one's pretty awesome too. You got to know how your competitors are moving around. What are your ops doing? Got to do your research. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to see what other programs are out there and see how they can lend more. Doing a 2-unit is one of the gaps. I know NACA, you could do a 2-unit. I know our in-house down payment assistance program, you can do a 2-unit as well. So there are programs out there that do have down payment assistance for 2 units. This is unique to CalHFA. CalHFA does not do that right now. So this is a big change. The next thing it says, implement one-time federal and state funded housing programs. The part there that kind of got me thinking is, what are they talking on the federal level? What program, the one-time federal program, are they talking about for single family homes? So I don't know if that means something's coming down the pipe. I feel like the federal budget is already spoken for. I did read the state budget, and there was a ton of money towards housing going into it, but I think Dream is it, guys. So that might be that. I'm not sure what that one means. That one is a whole nother level of research that I haven't done yet. Also on the, it's on the graph, but on the illustration here, it talks about the programs and what programs they have and the volume of loans that they are projecting to do over the next fiscal year. Dream wasn't on this. It's not listed here. Dream would be on there because Dream is similar to that of My Home or similar to that of the ZIP program. It's similar to that of My Home and similar to that of ZIP. Could be used towards down payment, could be used towards closing costs. So that's a trip they didn't list it here. I really think that was intentional because they recently announced that the Dream is coming this fall. So it's not, there's no real way of disguising it at this point. I'm not sure what the plan was there, if it was a typo or what, but it's not listed here and it should be. Then this goes on to talk about multifamily and other sectors of the market that they have, you know, a foothold in. It's not going to go into those too much because they're not really going to affect the average consumer that's looking to buy a single unit or a 2 unit. Like this is, I think this is more on a grand scale. They're talking about conduit bonds and recycled bonds and mixed income program, subsidy, loan, commitment. Like it's just, that's not going to apply to the average consumer. And it goes into a lot more of that not affecting the average consumer like directly. Does all this stuff affect you? I mean, in one way or another, absolutely affects all of the market. But some of this stuff is quite a bit out of our day-to-day. So talking about Moody's and their ratings, it's just not something that we're going to talk, not something that impacts you directly. It's not about a lending program that you can use. They want to be a trusted advisor. So they're just really trying to get their name out there a lot more. I mean, programs like the Dream program, that gets your name out there pretty quick. I mean, if you're lending $300 million in 11 days, that people typically get notice of that real quick. That is like such an overused term in CEO land and, you know, COO land and director of this land. Is just, everybody wants to operate perfectly. Everybody wants to be a well-oiled machine when it comes to any type of business, and it's hard to achieve for sure. Everybody wants to be a well-oiled machine when it comes to any type of business, and it's hard to achieve for sure. Retain highly qualified talent. That's one of their objectives here. They have been talking about their staffing issues and how they're hiring. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like there might be a turnover problem there at CalHFA. Yeah, they just want to retain good people. I'm not going to speak on that. I mean, I can speculate on turnover because I do manage people and there is turnover like throughout any business, but people retention, there's a lot of things that come how to retain people, and it's not an easy task. At their operating revenues and budget, they're just moving a lot of money. Let me just say that. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. I really nerded out on this stuff, but I'm trying to get cut to the chase for you guys. I might need to reflect to my notes here because there's some numbers that I'm about to say, and I want to make sure I'm accurate for you guys. So let me break it down. So nobody really knows what the changes of the upcoming Dream program is going to look like, but from this document, we know in the next fiscal year, they're going to be doing 2 units. CalHFA will be doing 2 units. It is their goal, right? So they could fall short, but they're stating it here publicly that they want to do 2 unit properties. So with the Dream program, once again, we don't know what that's going to look like, but it did state 2 unit will have, all programs will be eligible with the 2 unit. So just kind of go to tinfoil hat land with me. If we were to combine Dream on a 2 unit, would be kind of one of those kind of the perfect opportunity for, man, any just first time buyer, right? Move into one side, rent out the other, and get a big chunk of money towards your down payment, thus keeping the payment really, really low compared to if you were to finance the whole thing, or just comparing to just regular down payment assistance where you get 3%. So that would just be crazy, right? So here's some sample numbers just to give you an idea. Remember, not everybody's going to qualify for the program. Not everybody's going to qualify for this exact rate, but the rate is not make-believe whatsoever. So it's obtainable. I'm not trying to sell you guys a fantasy land by any means with these numbers, but buying an $800,000 house with a 6.375 payment roughly in taxes, with taxes and insurance in California, would be about $6,200 a month, right? That would be with using their My Home, for example. That's where those numbers would originate from. That's principal, interest, taxes, home insurance, the whole thing. $6,300 a month. About worst case scenario, people, if rates were to go up when this thing drops with a 7.3, that would bring the monthly payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance to $67.33 a month. So the average rent in Alameda County right now is $2,700 a month for an 800 square foot apartment. Got that from Rent Cafe if you were wondering. So just, man. So if we took that $6,200 payment and backed out $2,700 for the rents that you would receive for the other unit, man, it leaves $3,500 a month for your unit, right? So really you're paying $1,000 more than the person in the other unit, but yet you get to keep, once again, we're going off of Dream's old information here. You'd be able to keep 80% of the appreciation. 20% would go back to the state when you sold, but just imagine that. So you're living in one unit, someone else is living in the other unit, you have that one rented out. You'd be able to effectively get a whole bunch of equity for just paying $1,000 more than the next guy. It's kind of insane. The other part that CalHFA mentioned later in that, later in their strategic plan, is they plan to streamline guidelines with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA. Right now, there are some things that are kind of quirky and specific to CalHFA when it comes to guidelines, but they're planning to try to make everything on the same page, which is really awesome because there's people like me and my processor and our secondary team and our underwriting team that really have to know a couple sets of rules, and having a unique one for CalHFA is a real pain, but trying to streamline those things 100% and just keep everything on the same page will really help for that operational excellence that she was talking about. So I think that's a really great thing, and I'm really excited for that. But going back to having uniformity with the guidelines, that could mean that you can use your rents from the other unit to help you get qualified. So that's a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac thing now. Why not when this comes out? So remember, this is their 1-year plan. Some of the stuff might roll out at different times. So putting all of these things into one scenario could be some really, really best case type of stuff, but still it is technically possible, right? So what can you do with this information? I did break it up by who are you, right? Who is watching this? Are you a real estate agent? Are you a real estate investor? Do you live in a 2-unit property now? Like, who is listening to me? So I broke it down just to make it real, just to kind of get those juices flowing. I mean, we just learned something here that is coming, that is going to affect the real estate industry in the state of California, right? So how can we kind of be prepared for that and just not be blindsided? So if I'm a tenant, if I'm living in a 2-unit now, man, couple things, right? One, why not try to buy it? Why not try to buy that 2-unit from your landlord? Give me a call, shoot me a text. Let's get you pre-qualified to purchase now. And maybe you can buy that unit from your landlord, not even have to move. I mean, moving is terrible. Finding a new place is terrible. Shopping is a real, shopping is fun and dreadful, man. It's kind of one of those painful tasks that you kind of have to go through. But if you really like where you're living now and you don't want change to come, why not try to buy that unit from your landlord as soon as you're eligible to with this program? You know, typically people sign a 1-year lease or so. So why not, if you're just signed your lease here this past, summer, or just signed it last week or next month, why not game plan now to purchase that home as soon as you're eligible to with this program? At the same time, guess what? Your neighbor could be listening to this information too. So they also could want to buy that same property as well. So I don't want to say, I was explaining this to my buddy. He was like, dude, you're about to start 2-unit wars, man. There's about to be duplex wars everywhere. In reality, that could be what's coming. You could be trying to buy the unit. Your neighbor on the other side, if it's both sides are rented out, could be trying to buy the unit. Not only that, the seller or the property owner could see that these policies are probably going to get rolled out sometime in the future. And since there's going to be a whole new sector of money aimed at that property type, that could really build up a huge amount of demand, thus increase the purchase price or list the price that he or she would be willing to sell that property at. So, man, the price could increase based on more demand is what I'm trying to say. So be aware of that. If I'm a tenant and I just signed a year lease, I'm living in one side, you got to be planning, man. One thing is the ownership could change, right? If you don't buy it and your neighbor doesn't buy it, they could sell it as an investment, and having a change of ownership is never really good. I'm sorry. Me personally, when I was living in a rental, a change of ownership was crazy. One person I flat out almost sued. Another person, and I would have won easily. The next person was awesome. He's a really good dude. This is at a different unit. So just change of ownership is could be good, could be terrible. You never really know where your standard is gonna go with that next set of hands. One person liked being paid via check. The other one was easy, was Zelle. One person had routine maintenance come. The other person, it was super hard to get things fixed. Changing of ownership could be bad. That's all I'm saying. So if you're a tenant, hey, you've been warned. I hope it's all good though. If you can't afford to move, you can't afford to buy, man, I hope everything stays kosher for you. All right, so next thing here, if I'm an investor and I own some 2-unit properties, man, there's something about lending, there's something about real estate, and there's something about just being a good human that is kind of applicable here. If you own property like this, you own a duplex, and you're getting this information from me, man, just give the people that live there a shot at buying it. Don't just go straight to market. See if one of the tenants wants to buy it. Sometimes people, like I said in the previous, when I was talking about tenants, some tenants aren't ready to buy it. One of them might be, so just throw it out there to both of them that, hey, you know what? I know this may be counterintuitive because being an investor, it's all about occupancy rates. You want to keep your occupancy as high as possible. Look, I get it, but at the same time, man, just shoot it out there, man. Just, hey guys, I may sell, does anybody want to consider reaching out to Artist Loans to get pre-qualified to see if we can come to a deal? Like, make it happen, man. One of my landlords, prior to me being a homeowner, he did give me that opportunity myself. He did say, hey, Art, I'm planning on selling. Do you want to buy it? I didn't want to buy it at the time. I'm kind of bummed that I didn't, but at the same time, kind of happy that I did. There was some pretty big issues with the place that I just was kind of concerned with, and some of those things could have came out in the home inspection. I could have negotiated, and just I didn't do it. Didn't buy it. So anyway, I really hope if you're a real estate investor and you're hearing this, just give your tenants a shot. Give them a shot to maybe purchase the property from you before going straight to market. I understand market is going to have more exposure and potential for a higher price, but you never know, man. Just have a good heart, have a good soul. I don't want to say everything's about the money, because you could still get a really good deal with a off-market deal. You can even still use a realtor to make sure everything is straight. But just, man, give them a shot. Have a place in your heart for the little guy, you know what I mean? But aside from that, if I'm an investor in 2 units, I might be selling, with the anticipation of all of this additional money that is going to be available for this property type. Demand could really get spicy. So that would drive up price. Anyway, if you are an investor and you decide to sell, give me a call, man. I have tons of realtor partners across the state that can help you get that property sold. Whether you sell it to, if you sell it to one of your tenants, then you may not need a realtor, but you still could use one for sure to make sure everything is kosher. I'm sure they'll give you a deal if you use someone and you already have the buyer lined up. You just want to make sure that the paperwork is done straight. There's still a lot of disclosures and those types of things that a realtor can help protect you from as a seller that I wouldn't want to avoid and be cheap on that. Want to make sure that goes down right. So I personally would, I'm not an attorney here trying to tell you how to protect yourself, but might be a good idea. But if you do decide to sell and you want to roll that over to another investment property, also reach out to me. I have a lot of different realtors that can help guide you to your next investment. If I was a real estate agent, if you haven't connected the dots by now with what I'm telling you, there's gonna be a lot of movement in the 2-unit sector. Any duplex, man, the tenants might be wanting to move here pretty quick, whether that's buying a completely different property or maybe buying the one they're in now, or maybe the owner wants to sell. Maybe the owner doesn't want or wants to just take it to market. That could be an opportunity there to help bring that property to market. So there's going to be quite a few, it's going to be some shuffling here in the 2-unit space. Hopefully over the next fiscal year. It is CalHFA's goal to make these things happen this fiscal year. Everybody's going to be moving probably. Everybody in a 2-unit is going to be jumping around. 2-unit down payment requirements typically are about 15% for a conventional loan or 3.5% for an FHA loan. So to be able to get a 2-unit and being able to lend on that space, man, it's just kind of big. It's very, very big. You can't even do it with conventional without putting down 15%. On an FHA loan, you can do it at 3.5% down, but still, just imagine combining the dream on this. Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. Another point here is the loan limits. So the loan limit for a 2-unit property in Alameda County is $1,394,775. So, man, that's a higher amount than everybody's thinking. Let's just call it 1.1 for the single family home. So it's a whole nother bracket of price point for properties where that max would be. So under that number, it's considered high balance or just regular conforming. There'd be a conforming loan in the Fannie and Freddie space. So that's that. All right, so that's pretty much it. Wanted to get this information to you guys as soon as possible. Like I said earlier, I know this isn't as polished, but moving forward, I really just want to be able to speak to you guys and get the information to you as fast as possible. I'm going to move away from the scripts a little bit, so you guys might be able to make some memes of me like doing dumb stuff or just sounded funny, or maybe make some snippets. Just, the things aren't going to be perfect, man. That's all I'm saying. So, but I think speed of getting things to you guys in this long form format will be more beneficial in the long run. So, and more beneficial for me. I am a busy person, so trying to read things perfectly off a script takes a long time. And being able to just shotgun this out, or just being able to throw this out to you guys a little less polished, will help me keep the volume higher and get information to you guys quicker. So thank you for joining me. If you have something to say, hit me in the comments below. Shoot me a message on Instagram or shoot me a text. I have a work phone. I'll put the number in the description below as well. Don't call me anytime, but if you always have a question, just shoot me a text on the phone number below, and I'll reply as soon as I can. Thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for the next episode.